What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today's Best Served Podcast 334. I'm excited for a new mini series, a growing series, as the team within Best Served is really growing fast. Meet the team with Karyn Savory. This is going to be under Tell Your Best Story, as I want to really introduce the stories of the people that I'm so lucky to be surrounded with. Best Served is very interesting, where we have a core team, but we really look at this almost like a Marvel team up, Avengers style of creatives, and we are trying to create more space and infrastructure for creatives to do what they do. So I'm excited that we get to work with Karyn now. So I want to bring Karyn Savory in, talk with us. Karyn, good to see you.
Hello.
So Karyn with Sweet and Savory Designs. Make sure follow on social. The links to the website. If you're in need of design, please reach out to Karyn. Absolutely. And also now, on the team regularly with Best Served, as we continue to develop our content campaigns, continue to develop the stories that we bring to the hospitality industry and design. Something you've heard me talk about a lot. Something that I think is ripe for disruption, and we're going to be really developing kind of a new philosophy and approach, and Karyn is going to be at the forefront of that. So Karyn, first tell everyone a little bit about Sweet Savory Design, kind of your trajectory, kind of how you ventured out on your own. You're in that freelancer world, which can be exciting and scary as hell for a lot of us who know that world, who are in that kind of entrepreneurial mindset. Give us a little bit of the trajectory, and then we'll talk design.
Oh my gosh, yes. All right. Well, hi everyone. I'm Karyn Savory with Sweet and Savory Designs. I started Sweet and Savory Designs about, it's been a little over 2 years ago now. Yes, I would say kind of a freelancer, but also, kind of started my own graphic design firm. Freelance feels a little bit more, scary.
You're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur.
Yes.
you are an adventurer, to say the least, to get out there on your own, which can be super scary and super exciting. As I mentioned, 2 years. That's kind of like, okay, you're in it.
I'm in it.
You're past the point of like, that was fun. Let's now go back to the 9-to-5 type job. You're also not far enough in where you have kind of the stability of having kind of a steady flow. And so that's one of the things for Best Served that I'm so excited about, is to create that infrastructure and space for somebody like you to be able to like flourish and really do what you do so well. And that's really been thinking about the process of design. So I'm excited about that part of it.
Yes.
Branding, design. I think sometimes it gets conflated. I know so often in restaurants where I had a concept and then I come up with a logo, and there's so many layers of story and understanding who you are and what you're all about. The logo is just the expression of that. And so that's something that I want to like really bring into the conversation. Give us a little idea: branding, design. What do people need to know about that they maybe have misconceptions about?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. There's always, different views out there, but at least for me, as far as branding, logo, and identity, they're all intermingled, but I do think each has its own role. So going down to the start, so the very finite thing is your logo. So that is essentially the expression of your company in a visual form. But with the logo, there are colors and fonts and symbols that are all used within it that can help bring a brand to life. And what I believe your brand is more of your business's personality, how you brought it to life, the story behind it, and how to show that. And that can be, as far as through design, that could be symbolism in logos, that could be colors, that could be fonts, that could be so many things. There's always this psychological piece that helps tell the story and show this personality. And so then that's what your brand is more the personality, while then branding is how to take that logo, take your brand, and then, put it out consistently through all of your, platforms, and, how you express yourself to your community and your audience, and make sure that it all stays consistent and aligned with that personality. rather than causing confusion by having different pieces and parts that just don't mesh or play well with what is you truly as the business.
Yeah. The couple of things I like about brand is really who you are. It's like the mission and the vision, and brand is, your reputation. I've heard that. I kind of like that to some degree. I also like,
Part of it.
your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
I
And I was
love
like,
that part.
yeah,
Yes.
see, that I really like. It's like, what do people connect you with? What is when somebody says, what's that company or that person all about, that somebody says this, and whatever this that they say is your brand. And it's also your ability through branding and messaging, which are very intermingled. Kind of, I think of branding going down the messaging, and it's kind of like the words that you use, and then the visual aesthetics that you use. They kind of work hand in hand. To your point, a lot of times they're divergent. They say very different things in very different places, not being contextual to where and who you're speaking to. And that's a difference. So brand is that. What are people saying about you when you're not in the room? I love that. I think that allows people to be an extension of your brand, because they now are telling their own story of that, and you understanding what that story is, I think is really valuable. And then, so branding, then on the visual side, we'll talk about that a little bit more today, because that's one of your focus points. But we're going to have a whole series with Karyn coming up, so you're going to be learning a lot of technical things about design through this. We're going to be talking about branding, the process of design, as we work together more. That's going to be very, very important, so that we understand you're not buying a logo. You're buying an expression of your identity through the visual aesthetic of what your brand represents. And that is something that in the restaurant industry we struggle with, right, Karyn? Because we're so tactile. We make a dish, we hold in our hand, and the logo is something you feel like you can hold in your hand, right? And what the logo represents is more abstract, and we struggle sometimes in the abstract. And so I'm interested from you through process. I know one of the reasons that we really clicked was you, like me, ask so many questions, and it's the questions, even more than the answers, that kind of give us that secret sauce, the ability to find something in people that they didn't even know was the thing. But I call it the thing behind the thing that's the real thing. That is what I've noticed from you, your ability to do that. So think about that a little bit. What are some of the questions? What is some of the process? What do you take people through to kind of pull out more than just the kind of visual aesthetic? Sometimes they can be a little bit two-dimensional and hollow in our perception of what we want it to look like versus what we want it to feel like. Take me down that road a little bit.
Yes, and I love that you said that. I feel like what I really dive into is all about the feeling and less so the visuals, even though it ends up being the visuals. But
of course,
we really have to attack the feelings first. But before even that, I really love to just learn a little bit more about them, their business, what they want to do, and why they're starting it, the story behind it, because then I can get a feel for that passion and what really, lights them up, and then also from there, okay, well, you're very passionate about this. Is this something that you want to share? Is this something that you want to express within your brand? And then, dive a little deeper on that. And once we kind of have that story to work with, and, questions will come and go throughout that process. Then I dive into the feelings. So thinking about essentially their ideal customer, but at the same time, it's more, how do you want your audience, your viewers, your community to feel when they see your brand, when they interact with it, when they build a relationship with it? So, really diving in, getting all those fun adjectives, but some can be very different. You can have modern, but, friendly and approachable, but there is a way to pull these, unlike things together. And it just really dives into, like I had mentioned earlier, the feelings that colors give. So once I get those feelings down, certain colors can help express this. Certain fonts feel stronger or more friendly or this or that. And those will really be those defining pieces that help bring this personality to life and the feelings that they've expressed, that this is how they want people to feel with their brand.
It's not just it looks a certain way. the look actually is evoking an emotional response,
Exactly.
sometimes even subconsciously, and being able to understand what then they feel that then they will express to somebody else when you're not in the room. I think that's a valuable piece. One of the struggles that I know even I've had with this is because in restaurants so often we're so technical, right? And so why can't my logo be 4 ounces of salmon and 2 ounces of rice and 1 ounce of snap peas and a quarter teaspoon of this? Like, that's how I build a recipe. Why can't my logo be that? Like, why does it have to be so abstract and ethereal and touchy feely? Why can't I just have my 4 ounces of salmon? Because that's the way that I think. So sometimes we're having to shift that, even though we're creatives, absolutely, and we're communicators, absolutely. We sometimes get chummed up in the minutia of the actual technical application of what we do in restaurants, and you kind of have to break that down a little bit. Talk about that, because I'm sure you had that where they're like, I want 1 of this and 2 of this and 3 of this, and it's like, this isn't a fast food menu. If you want that, there's places that you can go to get the cheapest possible version of a logo, and you get what you pay for. Absolutely. So break that down a little bit. There's a little bit of the way that we operate that we need to shift the paradigm.
Yes. So I have had people come to me saying, you know what, I want a logo, you know, it's a cookie company, so I want a cookie in a basket.
Hey,
and
that's
the
new
words
and interesting.
around it. But I mean, sure, we could do that, but is that really going to express what you needed to express? So if they are very adamant about having certain elements, I really do like to try and find that perfect blend and compromise and put it in there, because then
Of course, you don't want to tell them they're wrong. You just want to tell them there's maybe a better way to be right.
Exactly. Oh, I like that. Yes. It's more encouraging that, you know, this is how, you know, people may perceive this, you know, and then, you know, talk them through it and decide if they still want it. And if they do, I will figure out a way to work it in there. Otherwise, if there are certain elements, I'm like, okay, well, that may not be right for the logo specifically, but maybe that's something we can implement as a brand element that can come into use throughout the brand as you get it on your website, as you create menus. And that could just be another piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't have to be the forefront to everything. More than anything, you want the name. You want something unique that stands out, that's memorable. But then whatever visual, you know, compilation we put together, that also has to be memorable. And it can't just be some cookie cutter, you know, I want a star and I want, you know, this font because this is my favorite font from when I was a child. We really have to think more about what each thing stands for and evokes as far as feelings.
Yeah, I think the ability for that to be both timeless and an ongoing conversation is what makes some of the best brands the best brands. The ability to have something that's memorable, to your point, that's unique, yet doesn't pigeonhole you into a time and place where you can't get away from your past success, something that the restaurant industry struggles with pretty desperately. So they go hand in hand. We're going to talk about this a lot more through our process. So again, look out for more content with Karyn and I. We're really going to deep dive into how to bring your brand to life, how to evoke those emotions so that when you're not in the room, people are saying amazing things about you because they truly believe what you believe. And that's what branding and design can do for you. The logo is just the proof that you are who you say you are. Just like the food is the proof that you are who you say you are, right? It's the story, it's the emotional connection that we're trying to elicit. So, Karyn, I'm excited to be on this journey with you. I'm really pumped up. I love interacting with you. Just the thoughtfulness that you're bringing forth is so important that I know every time you're creating something that the depth of emotion that you go through, your ability to be empathetic in that process is both superpower and I'm sure kryptonite for you sometimes, because it can be draining when you put that much of yourself into expressing what somebody else is all about and seeing them for who they really are and what they really are all about can be exhilarating and exhausting. Just like being an entrepreneur, being an artist, being a creative, and that's what we're all about. So everybody, Karyn Savory, you'll be hearing a lot more, seeing a lot more of Karyn. I appreciate all the work that we are going to do together, Karyn.
I'm so excited. Thanks so much, Jensen, for having me.
Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
You too. Bye.
All right, everybody. That is it for this episode. Meet the team. I'm pumped up about this. Karyn and I talked about doing a little episode to kind of introduce the concept of design, as I think it's something that we really need to think forward on within the industry. So we're going to have a whole bunch of technical, as I mentioned, but then meet the team. You're going to get to meet a lot of the other teams. And I know that Sophie and Andrew have been in episodes and stuff before. We're going to specifically introduce you to everybody that we're so lucky to work with at Best Served. That's a part of this mission, this vision to exist, to amplify the worth and work of those who feed their community. And that includes our ability to bring their stories and their visual design through branding to life. And we're here for it. So that's it for today. Again, Best Served Podcast 334. And that's it. Appreciate you all. Cheers.